Welcome to a potential moveset, a mini-series that I'm doing until Jump Force releases. Now there might be a possibility that Yu-Gi-Oh! Might be getting another rep for this series. And of course, if there was another rep, it would probably be Kaiba. But what about a third, fourth, or even a fifth rep? Now we'll be talking about the possibilities of Marik and Ishizu. So now Ishizu, I don't think has much of a chance as Marik does. So we're going to be doing her first. Now, of course, we'll be using the manga and a TV series to guide us through what Ishizu's and Marik's potential moveset might be. Now, let's figure out what type of fighter is Ishizu exactly. Now, when I think of Ishizu, when I look very closely as best as I can, she relies on strategy, determination. She's a planner, a careful planner, patient, elegant, and controlling. You sum that up, and you get a very technical playstyle, which I think fits her very well. So if she does get into Jump Force, she's going to play very technical. Now for Ishizu, we're going to be looking at the entirety of her battle with Kaiba. So any monster that she played with Kaiba is most likely going to be eligible for her moveset. Now, one of the first monsters Ishizu played is Medora, and that is most likely going to be one of her fighting monsters. Her next monster that would be good for a fight would be Zoga. Now Zoga can use dashes. You dash through opponents. That could be a possible attack. Or most likely you'll be using a variety of splashes, like it has been shown through the anime and the manga. Now brace yourself for this one. For final move, Zoga again, but with the blast from Blast held by a tribute. Now how is this going to work is, see, the Zoga that's infused with the blast is actually going to be a counter move. Now if the person were to hit Zoga, or this version of Zoga, if they were to activate their ultimate, they would explode instead. Now, I think that's the most likely scenario for her ultimate move. Now those are our three main monsters or attacks, but we're not exactly done with monsters. You see, she still has room for monsters in her super moves, and one of them could be Kelback. Kelback shoots a beam out of his eye, and you can see this in anime as she does a direct attack towards Kaiba. Now it's time for us to add a trap or spell, and the perfect trap to add is Exchange of the Spirit. Now how exactly would I go about, or they would go about, adding this to the game? Well, it's very simple. Switch places with your opponent, just like Saki in J-Stars. It's a very simple add-on, and it represents Ishizu perfectly, as this was one of her key moments in her battle against Kaiba. Now it's time for us to add another potential super that could be for Ishizu. And I figured Muko could work perfectly, or Null and Void. And if the name is any indication of how it would work in Jump Force, I figured it would probably be like canceling an opponent assist when it's activated. So it'll probably be like a big hand coming out in front of Ishizu when activated in her super. Now we got one more move or monster to talk about, and that's Agido. And Agido could be a perfect monster for her guard. And I think it'll be a no-brainer to add for her guard, because it's small enough like Karibo to be like that. Or Ring of Defense for Kaiba. Now everything you see here, I'm about to transform all of this into Jump Force format, so we could potentially see what it might look like in game. Also show you a montage what it might look like in game. Now it's time for us to move on to Marik. So what type of fighter is Marik? I think it might be pretty obvious. He's sadistic. He enjoys bringing pain to others, loves torture, and playing mind games. A quick sum up to that, Trickster addresses the playstyle. It fits him perfectly. Now Marik's quite tough to decide for, not because he has nothing, but because he has a lot of monsters he could potentially use in this game. So I think we should start with the most obvious monster he'll be using, the Winged Dragon of Ra. Now, as you can see on the right, Ra's Spear mode and his Phoenix mode. Now, they could be implemented in a game, but that doesn't mean they should be or they really need to be. So most likely than not, you'll just be seeing Ra look like his regular old self. So let's go ahead and figure out what monsters he could use for his fighting monsters. And one of them that I think will be pretty possible is Gilgarth. Now, this is a monster he used in this battle with Joey or Jinochi. And I think he has a pretty good shot at being one of Marik's fighting monsters. Now, for his last remaining fighting monster, you might possibly see Makura the Destructor. Now, he used this monster in his fight against my Valentine, and I think will be a pretty good light attack to use in comparison to Gilgarth for his heavy attack. It just syncs well with each other, so I think it could be a possibility that Makura could be his light attack. Now, I want to point out some monsters that could potentially replace Makura the Destructor or Gilgarth. Now, here we go. Now here we go, going from left to right, we have Legendary Fiend, Nudoria, Drillako, and Lava Golem. Now, if Ra wasn't in the game, Golem could potentially replace him. But let's be real, they're not going to add Marik and not let him play with the Winged Dragon of Ra. This isn't a Yu-Gi-Oh game, so that wouldn't make too much sense. Now, I can definitely see the Legendary Fiend easily taking the place of the Gilgarth or Makura the Destructor. But Nudoria, we can do the good without Nudoria or Drillako. Now let's move on to what potentially could be his supers. And here we have Volganian. Volganian is a perfect monster to put in his supers. It doesn't need to be a playable fighter monster. Obviously, he can't be. And his move will work similar to Frieza's Death Beam. Now I'm going to show you an example of that later on in the video. Now we know Marik loves to torture his opponents, and he has various torture tools, but I think the one that they might use the most in this game for his moveset is Nightmare Wheel. Nightmare Wheel would be a grab, and it would be a cinematic super. Now I know some may disagree with me and say Visor Shock is probably the better option, but Nightmare Wheel is definitely a better, more appealing choice, and represents torture more, arguably so, than Visor Shock or Visor Death might. Now, one of his last specials won't be a monster. It will be his own Millennium Rod. Now, Marik is no stranger to attacking with the Millennium Rod in the manga and a TV series, so it would make a perfect super. So how can we integrate that? Well, it will be a similar stance move to Gon. It would first stun the opponent, as you can see Joey right here is being stunned, and then push them away, similar to how he did to Bakura. Now for Marik's final monster that he can use, Revival Jam for his guard. I can't see him using any other monster, potentially Bulgarian, but I can't really see him using any other monster for his guard than Revival Jam, because Revival Jam is just such a perfect monster to use for his guard. Now it's time to integrate all the options we see here into the Jump Force format. And with that, I'll show you some examples of what they might look like in game. Now I'm considering doing a Bataka box and a few Bleach characters for my next potential moveset video. So if you want to see another series, or if you want to see a specific Bataka box or Bleach character, let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching all this huge video, and until the next confirmation, see ya.